Hey everyone, welcome to today's webinar. We're so excited to have you here. Thank you all for very much joining. Today we're going to be talking about how you can uncover new performance insights with athlete and data video integrated. My name is Mark Ventriglia. I'm a senior product marketing manager here at Catapult, and I'm joined by my co-host Adam Chovan, who is a senior product manager. We work together on this integration using both our video software as well as our wearable devices. So to set the table here and dig through a couple of housekeeping things, right? So for an agenda, we're going to go through an overview of what this integration actually means to the end user. And we're going to talk about the impact it's going to have across your entire team. After that, Adam's going to be diving into the actual demo itself, taking you through some workflows around how you can really uncover those new contextual performance insights for your team. And then lastly, we're going to wrap it up by giving you the ability to ask any questions you may have using a form after this event. After we conclude, we will then answer those questions and serve them back up to you. So without any further ado, let's get started. At its core, this integration really means that you can now sync your athlete performance data to video. What this means from a performance analysis standpoint is that teams have every single data set connected to video. This includes event, tracking, positional, and now performance data, all connected to video for every moment and for every player. This is ultimately what provides you with those new contextual insights across your entire team. So to dig a little level deeper, we're going to go through a couple of areas of why this integration is so impactful for teams across the world. First and foremost, you are able to access every player metric connected to a piece of video in a moment within a game. You're able to understand individual player outputs related to their actions that specifically align to their performance metrics. To take it a step further, you're also able to measure every event, every phase, every game state connected to each individual player outputs. You can identify players involved in key moments and analyze their performance related to their physical metrics. Third of all, you are now able to unlock positional data without the need for optical data. This is done by leveraging Catapult Vector's GPS devices. And now within Match Tracker, you can view players on a 2D pitch connected to every event. And with that, you can create a series of visualizations to really understand each and every moment that happens during a game. Lastly, this integration really brings together your entire team. From coaches to athletes to analysts to practitioners, everyone is now ultimately more connected through the data and insights that we are able to provide. You are now able to support tactical decisions, training improvements, and overall improved communication across your entire team. So how does this all happen? The two benchmark areas of product within Catapult that make this possible is our video analysis suite, as well as our athlete monitoring devices. On the video side, we have three core products, Match Tracker, Focus, and Hub, that make up our analysis suite that power performance analysis for elite teams across a variety of sports. Coupling that with Catapult Vector, our elite wearable device, we are now able to bring together this very powerful and impactful integration. So for today's demo, we're going to be diving into Match Tracker specifically. And with that said, Adam, we can take it from there.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. Hi, everyone. Like Mark mentioned, my name is Adam Chovan. I'm a senior product manager on the team and really thrilled to be here today to demonstrate this wearable integration. I'll step you through Match Tracker proper. I'll show you all the features that we've built out today. I'll also share with you some of the use cases that actual coaches or analysts or teams could use to improve their everyday workflows. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So on the screen here, we've got our Match Tracker application. And specifically in this game, we have all of the wearable data synced up to video and eventing data for a recent MLS game. We've been working with an alpha customer here in the United States, and they've been a really great partner for us to test out and learn how this integration can best service teams. And so I'll walk you through a number of those features today. The first way that we're able to integrate this data is through the use of this new physical table. The physical table in Match Tracker is a chronological list of every physical event that happened in the game. So Catapult wearable devices produce a lot of these events, things like sprints or accelerations, decelerations, jumps, IMAs, and we're now able to import every one of those events into Match Tracker, put them in this physical table, and sync them all to video. So let me show you specifically. Again, here in this table, we've got a list of every event that this MLS team produced in this actual game. So impacts, decelerations, accelerations, sprints. And if we see, every one of these is synced with a timestamp and ultimately with video. So if we take a specific example, here in the 46th second, it looks like Johnston has a run. So all I have to do is double click on that and I immediately get to video. Now, historically in sports science, we always had this sort of high-level data of when individuals made these physical events, but we've never had the context into what that player was doing or how that event impacted the game. Sprints is a great example. We've long been able to say through a wearable device how many sprints each player had or what their max velocity was, but we never know the game context of why that player was sprinting. Is he sprinting because he is making aggressive runs in on goal to try and create a scoring opportunity? Or is that guy always giving up interceptions and having to track back on defense so we don't give up a goal? That level of contextual understanding or of tactical understanding has just never really been possible in the world of wearables and sports science. But by bringing all of those events off of the Catapult wearable devices and into Match Tracker, we can sync every one of those events up with video and let you see every one of them just like we did this run here. But we don't stop at just limiting you to watching the run in isolation. Like I said, if we take this specific example, Johnston makes a nice run in on goal. And so we might want to share this information out with the rest of the team. And Match Tracker has really efficient tools to do just that. So for instance, all I have to do is right click and I can add this particular run to a presentation. What I'll do then is I'll open up my presentation module and we see the same video. I can watch it through here. And when I find a point that I'm interested in, maybe right before the run is made, I can start to lay down these really high quality or professional looking graphics right on top of the screen. So here, I'll give you another example of how that works. Again, all I have to do is right click, add to presentation. I'll open up that presentation module. And then from right here, we can start the video. Stop it here, lay down one of these icons. We can also add in arrows wherever we need to. So for instance, if I go ahead and switch this around to where this player is going to be making this run, we can determine how long it should last. In this case, maybe we'll say it's for 2 seconds. And we can back all this up and play the video through. And you'll see now the video will pause for a couple seconds, lets me as a coach make a teaching point. My graphics appear on film here, and the video plays through. And of course, once we've laid down these sorts of annotations, we can share this clip effortlessly with the entire team through our cloud sharing platform, the Hub. So this is one more example of, we don't just want to marry up these events with video, we want to make them useful for the entire team. And being able to share these things remotely, add professional graphics and illustrations to them, that sort of feature takes this integration over the top. Let me give you a little bit more detailed example. When a Catapult wearable device picks up an event like a run or a sprint or an acceleration, we don't just detect that the event has occurred. We also detect a lot of metadata around those events. And we bring in all of that metadata into Match Tracker as well. So let me give you a specific example. Instead of looking at every event that we've got here, I'll filter down to just the jumps that happened during this game. And if we're thinking about metadata, one of the obvious pieces of data you'd want to know around jumps is how high the player jumped or their jump height. And all I have to do is right click, add column, and now I can sort down to see the highest jumps in the entire game. And in this case, I can just click on the very top one here, and I'll get snapped straight to the video. Looks like we're going to have a goal kick here. You're in the 83rd minute, and then down here on the right-hand side, Yonder Gadiz will go up for a header. And so again, that basic workflow, to have your athletes wear a wearable device in their games, to be able to get an accurate register of every event that happened, to be able to bring those events into a video analysis platform like Match Tracker, be able to double click on them, see the video, see any of the supporting metadata. That is a really powerful workflow that's just never been practical in the world of sports science before. But we can even take it a little bit further. In addition to just knowing the data that comes off of the wearables, like this was a sprint or this was a jump with this height, Match Tracker also knows a lot of information about what we call the game state. And this sort of built-in game intelligence also benefits this wearable integration tremendously. So within this physical table, you see we have columns like phase. Phase will tell us what phase of play every one of these events happened in. So these jumps happen during set pieces. These jumps happen during attacking phases of play, clearances, long balls. We can also tell you which team was in possession of the ball and how these sequences ended. And all of this information, all of this rich tactical game state data lends more context to the wearable events. So in a way, you can learn a lot about your team's physical performance without even having to watch the video, because Match Tracker includes this sort of built-in game intelligence for all the events. Let me show you a practical way that teams might use this. Over here on the left, we've got this bar graph of every player's sprints. And again, sports science has long been able to tell us how many sprints or how many runs every player made in a game. But now you can see we've also added this stacked bar graph where we can see in green how many of these runs were made on offense versus in red how many were made on defense. And so just right away, think of that additional level of context you get. It's no longer telling you that Adam had 12 sprints in a game. It's telling you that Adam had 9 sprints on offense and 3 on defense. It's giving the coaching staff actual information as to how and when Adam expends his energy. And that's just super valuable and way more so than viewing this data in isolation or without the video. And we can do this for all the different wearable events that Catapult produces. So up here, I've graphed out all of the runs and whether they happened on offense or defense. Here, I've graphed out all of the impacts, so all of the collisions or those physical contacts that happen during a game. And just by bucketing them in 5-minute increments, I can immediately see sort of how the physicality of this game ebbs and flows over time. If I'm interested in any of these data points, I can, of course, drill deeper. Or if I want to see even more chronological data, I can open up every one of these. I can see the exact impacts that happen. I can double click on any of them and see the video right alongside. We can also plot this data in a lot of different formats. So up here in the top left, I've got a histogram of all the acceleration speeds that happen. And again, every one of these instances is linked back to video. So not only does Match Tracker give us efficient means of importing the data, it also gives us really clean graphing and charting abilities. It gives us effective ways to see telestrations and to lay down those professional looking graphics, as well as to share them out to individuals or the rest of the team via Catapult's cloud sharing platform, the Hub. So if the first way that we can integrate this data is through this physical table, and again, this brings in all of the events or the physical events that happen during a game, and it puts them on a table and links them all to video. The second way that we can integrate the data is by using Catapult's wearable metrics, not to describe wearable events, but to describe the tactical events that happen in a game. And so what I mean here is on the screen. Here I've got an eventing table. And this is standard practice for most elite teams in the world, but this is just a literal list of every one of the tactical events that happen in the game. So all of the interceptions, all of the passes, all of the free kicks, all of the headers, every time corner kicks went out. So a list of all the tactical events that happen in the game. But now, because we've integrated Catapult's physical data into Match Tracker, we can also see the athlete's wearable data at the exact moment that these actions occurred. So if we take, for instance, this header here in the 7th minute, we can see that when the individual made this play, right at the 6:55 mark, he was moving at 5.28 meters per second. He had a heart rate of 156 beats per minute. He was accelerating quite quickly, and his player load was only 15% of all the player load that he'll accumulate throughout the entire match. So again, just to describe it once more, if we take down this ball touch by Leal in the 13th minute, the wearable data that will tell us that Leal was moving at this speed with this heart rate, he was decelerating, and he had accumulated a given amount of player load up until this point in the match. And this basic capability to include physical data with all the tactical events that happen in an eventing table has huge implications for coaching and for performance analysis. Let me give you a couple of specific examples. Obviously, all of this information is contained in a table and separated into columns. And so it becomes very easy for us to sort and filter on all of these columns. And so just right there, I clicked, and now I can see the fastest moments that happen in a game. And of course, I can double click on any of them to get straight to the video. Let me give you another example. In addition to just seeing the fastest moments, I can also see those that occurred with the highest heart rates. I can see those in which players were accelerating the quickest or in which they were decelerating the most. I can do the same sort of sorting and filtering for all the player load information, for metabolic power, any of the physical parameters that Catapult's wearable devices pick up on. We can sort and filter and find the max and min throughout the entire data set really efficiently. So one way we can use this is to do just what I said. sort through all the data, find the outliers or the highs and lows and see them on video. Another way that we can do it is to start answering some really interesting correlation questions, like how does an athlete's physical performance impact their performance on the field or the outcome of their plays? And so let me give you a specific way that we've been introducing here. Down here at the bottom of the table, I have a graph of every player's passing accuracy in this game. And you'll see their passing accuracy is highlighted in this yellow bar. And now I might want to ask a question, how does our performance change as our heart rate goes up? Are some players able to handle the pressure better than others? And we've all heard that term that he's got ice in his veins to refer to somebody who can handle the pressure or can handle those big game moments. But what does that even mean? And how can we possibly measure it? And Match Tracker actually gives us really clean tools to do that now. So let me show you live here on this webinar. What I'll do is I'll just copy this window and I'll paste it right next to it so that I have two identical data sets. But now what I'll do is I'll add another parameter into the second table. What I'll do is just with a couple clicks, I'll add in every player's heart rate into this passing. And what I'll do is I'll filter down on heart rates that are really elevated. So a high heart rate for a professional athlete, maybe we would call that 150 beats per minute. And now Match Tracker is going to filter down to just those passes that were completed or attempted when a player had a heart rate of 150 beats per minute or more. And immediately when we graph out that bar graph, we can see that some players' passing accuracy changes drastically. So if we're trying to assess how does our performance on the field change as players get tired or as the game gets more intense, now with just a couple of clicks, we can categorically show that some players' passing accuracy gets better or worse when their heart rate goes up. For a team looking for every competitive advantage possible, that sort of insight has just never been possible in the world of sport before. And to make the point a little bit clearer, we can look at this in a variety of ways. Instead of looking at it by each player individually, we can look at the team's data as a whole. So for this particular match, when the team's passing accuracy overall looks to be 75%, but when their heart rate gets above 150, it drops to 71%. Fascinating. And that sort of data insight that your performance is actually correlated in this game with your players' heart rates, that's an amazing insight that's just never been practical before. So this basic capability to take Catapult's wearable data and give it back for every player at every moment that they were involved in an event has some really clear implications. But we can also take this a step further. We don't want to just measure one individual for one moment in time. We might want to measure every individual on the field for some indeterminate amount of time. And Catapult supports that use case as well through a new tool called the physical view. So here on the screen, I've got a list of what we call the phases of play in this game. So this is a list of every long ball or quick break or clearance or attacking phase. And each one of these phases will involve different players and last for different amounts of time. So for instance, if we take a look at this example here in the 63rd minute, Nashville recovers the ball and goes on a quick break for 11 seconds, it looks like. Now, quick breaks are one of those really interesting moments in a game where your player's physical output is really critical to success. On quick breaks especially, you're going to expect all your players to be moving as fast as they can up the field. And historically, in order to evaluate whether your players are moving as fast as they could, you'd have to watch the video over and over and just look for every individual player and try and see, is that guy running as fast as he can? Is that guy running as fast as he can? Rewatch the video. Is that guy and you would do this iterative process, and at best, you would get to sort of a gut reaction as to whether players were working as hard as your system of play requires. And now the physical view eliminates all that ambiguity, because with just a couple of clicks, I can change over to what we're calling the physical view, and I can immediately see for the 11 seconds that this quick break accounted for, who was on the field and what was everyone's max speed, what was everyone's intensity, what was everyone's max acceleration and deceleration, their heart rate data, how much distance did they cover, was any of that distance done at high speed. So in the same way that on the eventing tables, we can pull back an individual's metrics for a specific point in time, the physical view lets us pull back the entire team's physical metrics for any period of time. We just did it for the 11 seconds in this quick break, but I might be interested in the 25 seconds where the opponents were in a possession phase. And I can just as easily use the physical view to get that physical understanding as well. And what's really exciting is this physical view works across any number of time periods. So here on the left, I've given you examples of let's look at this one quick break, or let's look at this one possession phase. But if we go back to that example of quick breaks, the coach or the coaching staff might want to look at all of the quick breaks that happen in a game. And so Match Tracker, if we look, it looks like our opponents, Orlando City in this case, had 3 quick breaks during this entire game. I can select all 3 of them. And immediately I can use this physical view to see who was on the field for any quick break. And for any one of those quick breaks, what was their max speed? Were players intense enough? Were they accelerating as fast as they could? Were they decelerating as hard as they could? Were their heart rates getting up to the levels that we expect or that we allow for? All of that information is now right at your fingertips and all contained in one holistic platform. So one of the key ways that we've heard of teams using this is to design more effective training sessions. So quick breaks or transitions between attack and defense are actually a really good example. Lots of coaches want to know which players have the physical stamina or the endurance to be able to transition between defense and attack throughout the entire game. And in a lot of ways, what you're asking is we need to be able to measure game speed, and we need to design training sessions to have our players meet that game speed. And this is the exact use case that this physical view in Match Tracker caters to. Because now if I'm a coach and I'm interested in, can my players physically run as long as they need to for all of these transitions? I can use this physical view to accurately benchmark. Well, this is the exact type of speed that my players are going to need to hit throughout a game when we've given up the ball and need to transition back to defense. These are the intensities that a professional soccer game requires of our athletes. These are the accelerations and the decelerations that our athletes need to hit to effectively break in our system. And once you've documented or benchmarked these sorts of physical outputs, we can design training sessions to prepare athletes for those exact benchmarks. And because your athletes are wearing the same Catapult wearable devices in training as they are in games, you can easily compare that training data and see, do players train at the levels that they exhibit in games? That age-old question. We need to practice how we play. Now Match Tracker makes it very easy to calculate and to objectively state which players can practice like they play. And one of the beauties of this physical view is that it's not limited to any predetermined amount of time. So for instance, if we're watching this video and the coach sees an interesting point that he wants to make, or he sees an instance in which a certain player just doesn't look to be giving it his all, he can clip out that exact period of time and use the physical view in real time. So let's see, we've got the video here, and what I'm going to do is pull up just a simple tagging template. And of course, Match Tracker supports all of these features natively. What I'll do is I'll just switch over to my tagging window. I'll blow it up so we can see it here on the screen. And what I'll do is I'll play through the video. And let's see that we get to a point here where I know a player is dogging it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this coaching point right here. And I'm going to start measuring the time. And whenever this play ends, now I click on coaching point again. What I can do now is come back to this table view, and you see I've registered a 17-second coaching point, a period of time that I want to review as a coach because my players don't look to have been exhibiting their full capacity. And right now in real time, I can then switch over to the physical view. I can see everyone who's on the field. I can see their speeds, their intensities, their accelerations, their heart rate data. So whether it's a predefined moment of time, like a transition or a high press, or whether you're doing a post-match analysis and something just looks a little off and you want to get everyone's physical data right there in the moment, Match Tracker makes it quick and easy to get an empirical understanding of all your players' physical outputs for any period of time. And one critical thing is that this works across any number of games as well. So lots of software out there will limit you to only looking at individual plays or individual games. But in fact, I have multiple games loaded into this same Match Tracker project here. And what I can do is I can say, give me all the quick breaks over every open match. And now, no matter whether it happened in this game or a previous one, I can use this physical view to get an immediate understanding of who was on the pitch during quick breaks and were they performing at the levels that I expect them to. That level of holistic understanding is exactly what Match Tracker is designed to deliver. And the final way that we've integrated this physical data, like Mark mentioned at the top of the call, is through the use of positional data. Positional data, being able to see your athletes on a two-dimensional space like this, to understand their size and the shape of your formation, and link all that back to video and the events that occurred throughout the game. That is just an absolutely critical piece of tactical analysis. Every team in the world would want and need this sort of data available to them. But like Mark alluded to, the problem with positional data is that historically it's been really expensive and difficult to acquire. Traditionally, teams would need to have optical cameras installed in their stadiums, really expensive outfits that will capture things at all moments, and they'll deliver this positional data. But again, it's just a very expensive system to install and maintain. So optical data like that has traditionally only been available to the highest budget teams in the top flight leagues. Now, because we can derive this positional data and we can plot it on a two-dimensional field like this straight from your Catapult GPS wearables, in a way we've democratized the use of this positional data to all sorts of teams and leagues when it just never had it available for. And even to our highest level clients in top flights, there are still instances where you might want this positional data but not have it available to you. Let's say that you're an MLS team and you have you have optical cameras in your stadium, but you're playing on the road at a cup match or some sort of exhibition. If that stadium doesn't have optical cameras installed in it, you're not going to have this critical data available to you. Well, now through your Catapult wearable devices, you get that same level of high quality professional data available in your video analysis tool. Or let's say that you're an academy, you're maybe an English Premier League or a Bundesliga client that has the first team outfitted with optical cameras in their stadium, but on your academy pitches, you don't have any such thing. Those academy teams and coaches are going to want this same high quality positional data, and they can now get it through the use of Catapult wearables. So to review, at the onset, there's 4 ways that we can integrate your physical data from Catapult wearables into our video analysis software. The first is through the use of this physical table, which allows you to see every event in chronological order and sync it up with video. Very common use case for sports scientists or for S&C coaches to be able to see the outliers in their data or be able to see the context behind every physical event that's recorded through the wearable devices. 2, we've added new columns to the eventing tables. And now for every event that a player is involved in, for instance, Leal making this pass in the 15th minute, now you can see that player's individual physical outputs at the exact moment that they made that play. So for instance, for Leal, when he makes this pass in the 15th minute, we can immediately see his speed, his heart rate, his acceleration, and his player load, his metabolic power at the exact moment that he made that play. In a similar vein, now that we've been able to integrate players' physical data with their tactical events, we don't just have to show you a player's data for a moment in time. We can show you the entire team's data for any amount of time. And we do that through the physical view. So the example that I gave here was quick breaks. When we have these moments in the match where we might have given up a ball and we need everyone on our team running back as hard as they can on defense so that we don't concede a goal. Now I can just select that moment in Match Tracker, switch over to the physical view, and get an immediate objective understanding of how hard every player was working. And I can take that understanding, I can design training drills to emulate that exact scenario in practice, and I can see which players are practicing at game speed. And then, of course, the use of positional data, taking the information from a GPS or an LPS sensor, plotting it on a two-dimensional field, and allowing teams to see a team's shape, to understand their formations, use common overlays like heat maps, trails, traces, average positions, all of that now available through your Catapult GPS wearables. So with that, I'll welcome Mark back to the screen, and we've got a couple of ways for you guys to submit questions in the audience.
Awesome. I have to say, folks, every time I hear Adam present this demo, I just learn that much more each time. So with that, I'm sure you have tons of questions regarding this integration, how it would work for your team, or any other questions you may have regarding Catapult products. If you do, please scan this QR code, submit your questions, as many as you would like, and then we will be reaching back out and answering those questions with you in post. At this time, I just want to thank each and every one of you for joining us today, learning about this latest integration. If you want to learn more, please visit us at catapultsports.com and dig into what we have to offer with regards to this. I hope you have a wonderful evening, morning, afternoon, night, wherever you're at. Thank you very much and have a great day.